Welcome to Linda's Story Time. Today I'm going to share with you a story taken from Matthew 12, beginning to read at verse 46. It's not easy hearing gossip about your son. I go into protective mode. So when my neighbour came round and told me more about the gossip that was going round, that Jesus was stirring up the Pharisees again and upsetting her husband apparently, for apparently he had said that we were a wicked generation. And her husband was very hurt at that, especially as he knew Jesus as a little boy. I had to watch my tongue, but I was worried. The bit that worried me most was the stirring up of the Pharisees again, the leaders, the Jewish leaders. I wish he'd stop doing that. I really do. I know he's special. I know he's the Son of God. I'll never forget the day he was born, my eldest. Strange circumstances, strange visitors, not family, but shepherds and kings. But then also, the one event that especially stays with me was when Joseph and I took him to the temple to be dedicated, to be named. And I never forget, it was an old guy who came up to us. I'd seen him in there before. Lovely man, I think he was called Simeon, and he came up to us and he asked to hold Jesus. I trusted him, so I did. I let him, and he blessed him, and he sort of referred to the fact that the Messiah had come. But then I'll never forget what he then said to me. He looked me directly in my eyes and he said, "A sword will pierce your own soul." I understood what he was saying. For he talked about Jesus being the one who would bring the rising and the fall. And the rising again, but I got a feeling it wasn't always going to be good. Stayed with me. A sword will pierce your soul. So I was scared for him. I didn't want to see him get hurt. So I thought, right, it's no good. I've got to deal with this. I've got to sort it out. I'm his mother. I need to sort this out. So I told my other son James and my daughter Naomi that I was going to go and see Jesus. Both of them said to me, "Mum, you can't. Leave him be. He's fine." But I wouldn't listen. I went. Walked out that door with them following closely on my heels, trying to stop me still. But I went. And when I arrived at the house where he was, there was crowds of people in the courtyard, loads of them, couldn't get in. But I could see him and his friends in the middle talking to all the people. So I stood at the doorway. I remember being the embarrassing mother and trying to get his attention. It didn't work. Well, it did, but to the wrong person. One of his friends saw me and managed to work their way through the crowd to get to us. "You all right?" he said. I said, "Yeah, I want to see Jesus." "Well, he's a bit busy talking at the moment to the crowds, but if you wait, then you'll be able to see him." "I'm his mother," I said. "I want to see him." He could tell that I was worked up, so he left me standing there, said, "Hold on a minute," he said. And he walked again, managed to get through the crowd back to Jesus. It was so embarrassing. For as he turned to Jesus, of course, Jesus stopped talking and the crowd went dead silent. And as his friend pointed in our direction, everybody seemed to turn and look at us. James and them, who said later they felt as if they wanted the ground to swallow them up. And Jesus looked at the friend as the friend said to him, and I could hear it clearly, your mum and your brothers and sisters are here. They want to see you. Your mum wants to see you. The words he said next, Jesus' words that he said next, they really hurt. For he turned to all the crowd and he said, "Who is my mother, my brother, and my sisters?" And he looked at his friends and looked around them all the crowd that was there listening to him. And he said, "Here are my mother, my brothers and my sisters." Whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my mother, my brother, and my sister. And then he just carried on talking to them. I felt angry to start with. It really hurt. How could he embarrass us like that? And I turned and I went, really cross with him, thinking I'll talk to him later. The others followed me very quickly. Naomi put an arm around my shoulder, but I nudged it off. We got home and I just sat down and they left me be. They knew. Leave her be to calm down. Took me a while, but I did. And when I thought about it, I realised I should have listened to them in the first place and not gone. Should have remembered they're wiser than me these days, more rational. When did that happen? When did my kids get more rational and wiser than me? Probably not difficult. And when did Jesus? He's always probably been more rational and wiser than me. I realise now as I think about it, I think that was a message to me, really. I needed to trust him. He knows that I love God. Therefore, I am part of his family. But I think he was saying to me, "Mum, you've got to let me go. You've got to let me do my Father's will as well. You've got to release me and trust me." It's not easy, is it, when you hear your children saying that to you? He came round later, not that day. I think he realised he better leave it a bit. But he came round and we were fine and we chatted, and I think because he walked in and gave me a hug really helped. But I know, one day that sharp sword will pierce my soul, but I've got to trust the Son, who is my Son, but who most importantly is the Son of God.